Welcome to Stacked. I'm LaForge. This is a show about how real people and real brands are stretching value in today's economy. Not theory, not generic money advice. We're getting into how rewards, loyalty, partnerships, and digital tools actually work and how they're being used in real life. Let's jump in. Darrell, I'm so excited to have you in here today. And for everyone watching, we do have Darrell Keezer here from Candybox Marketing. He is a marketing strategist, deeply immersed in AI, and the number one person I thought to talk to about the consumer journey and how AI is changing that. So Darrell, very excited for the conversation, but I don't want this to be AI as a cool tool. What we really want is that deep conversation on how AI is going to be changing the landscape for consumers as well as brands. And so to dive right in, I'm just going to ask you to kick us off with your thoughts on how AI is changing the consumer behavior today.
I think it almost matters which week we're in, because every week it seems like there's just a new advancement. I mean, as of right now, I think it's like May 26th, Google just had their conference. They announced that they're essentially building AI into every single search that's happening. And I'm not even sure entirely if every consumer knows this. If you think back to 2012, when you used to write into Google, you'd have to type in the entire thing. And then all of a sudden it just started completing your sentences for you. That was actually the first consumer facing AI. And although it was revolutionary, I don't think anyone fully noticed. They just thought, oh, that's interesting, right? This is cool. And they kind of continued. And so how is it enhancing the consumer experience? I think AI is now becoming ubiquitous between every platform and your operating system and Google and the tools that we use every single day, that most consumers are just going to see it as an enhancement on something that they were used to doing, rather than this big shift into AI. All of a sudden our cars are going to know, what's happening around us and the appointments that we're going to. Our Starbucks orders, if we're ordering, they're going to be more accurate in the time. And so it's almost what area is not going to be impacted by AI? That's a bigger question, who's falling behind right now. So yeah, I think the consumers are quickly adopting. Years ago, you were an early adopter and getting on ChatGPT, and now it's just becoming part of our language, just like we used to say how we'd search for things. People are just saying, I was speaking to chat, and all of a sudden that's now the verb.
Yeah, it's interesting you say not that long ago, when Google adjusted the search. Our consumers became really good at utilizing that search and finding great deals and using it to compare. And so it changed our behavior, in particular around online shopping. And so those behaviors that we take every day happened without us, as you said, even noticing. What behaviors in particular do you think might be changing through this shift in AI, where it's happening without us noticing? Our behaviors are changing without noticing.
Yeah.
What are some of those behaviors, do you think?
The behaviors that I see that are most fascinating with AI is it's almost like we've gone from a knowledge era to a wisdom era. And let me explain that. So, years ago, if you were going to research something, if you were going on vacation, trying to book a summer trip or summer camp, it's a multi-tab experience, right? You've got 20 tabs open, 30 if we're being honest.
Yes.
And you've got all these different browser windows, and your CPU is trying to keep up. And what's happening is that you as a consumer, you're taking a look at all this information, all this knowledge, and you are evaluating, you're comparing, you're considering, you're watching videos, you're having all these different interactions. And what you're doing is you're kind of collecting knowledge, and you're using your own consumer wisdom to figure out what is the best option. Well, AI is interesting because it is actually if I could call it almost like a wisdom engine. It takes all the numbers, all the data, and your objectives, and it comes back and saying, this is the best solution for what you're looking for. And that's a major behavioral shift, because before, we call it the blue link era, where it's just okay, I'm going to just, click and open all these different tabs. And now we see AI narrowing the focus and saying, we're actually going to do all the heavy lifting for you. We're going to find out what the prices are. We're going to find out availability. We're going to match it with your objectives. We're going to make sure it fits your budget. And it's using, applied knowledge or wisdom and understanding to kind of help your consumer journey, which is so vastly different. And so instead of, being these multi-tab people and trying to figure it out, we can be a single, even single browser window, single chat where we're having discussion, and it's making all these decisions for us. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. I believe consumer behaviors are going to quickly adapt to this, and they realize that before it was actually a lot of work to work all these things together to find out the right answer. But it's almost scary that they are going to outsource their brains and just say, you choose the number one, maybe top three options, and then I'm going to select from that rather than looking at everything.
So as you're saying this, and I think we alluded into a conversation before we sat down as well, to this idea of trust, trusting AI. And I think us as humans, at first we're going to be very skeptical of it. Then we see how much it works. We see how easy it gets, and we put far too much trust into it. And I think a lot of our conversation today outside of AI as a tool is that trust for consumers and their agency and control over how they're purchasing. But initially, there's going to be a lot of people who trust AI too much when it comes to shopping and making their decisions. So if you were to give a warning when you're first entering that this world is great, look at everything put in front of me, now I just have to make a decision, how can consumers be more discerning with that information and still control that agency over their purchasing?
I honestly think that's going to get a lot more difficult. I recently read a stat that it said that AI traffic to a website is 8 times more likely to convert. So, which means like I'm going to buy something, I'm going to give it my information, I'm going to download something, like I'm actually going to use the site. They said that AI is 8 times more probable to convert a customer than traditional search, which also means that the customers that are coming through AI are, I can even just call it 8 times more trusting, which is a radical stat. Like it's not 8%, it's not 80%, it's 800%, it's 8 times more trusting. Yeah. And so this has been a very quick evolution. At the beginning, if we think of like, late 2022, 2023, everybody talked about, oh, you can't trust its answers. It's hallucinating. It's not giving the correct stuff. Yeah. Cite its sources. Well, that was kind of like the infancy of AI. And it was just almost like a university research project that went wild. And now as these companies are maturing, their systems are becoming more and more trustworthy. And if you think about how people trust one another, what we do is if you prove me right, and like I trust you with something, you prove me right, then I'm going to trust you more and more and more. And so as AI gets more things right, our trust is going to expand. Now, the question you have, I think, is really important for customers, because let's say if it lands you on, I don't know, like a trip at this specific hotel in Spain that you're going to go to, and it's saying this is the best option for you, and you're really excited about it. Well, the question is that going to be a good hotel experience? Where did AI get its information? Is it actually reading the reviews? Are those reviews trustworthy about the brand? And hopefully these algorithms are getting it right. But we have to understand that when something even gives you a guarantee online, the guarantee is only as good as the brands that issued the guarantee. Yep. And so I think customers need to become more aware of what are the brands in the company that I'm dealing with and in relationship with. And even if AI is saying this is the best deal or this is the best option, who is kind of signing the guarantee behind that company, that product, that service? That's why I think customers are going to need to be more in tune with what are the brands that are out there that I actually already trust, that I can work with, and what are the things that AI may give me that may just be a temporary good solution, but not something that's going to fulfill the brand promise.
It's fun that you say that. I will never trust AI to my hotel selection, but I'm a hotel snob, so I will always dig in a little deeper on those recommendations. But you mentioned a couple of words that I was tying together in my next question for you, which is perfect: brands, trust, 8 times conversion. So as a brand, they're obviously going to love this increase in conversion by using these AI tools. And they may assume that AI is going to build that trust and build those conversions. But what mistakes do you think brands could make or are making by trusting that initial conversion? Like, what's the downstream implications that could happen from a brand?
I think in the last 5 years, brands have become way more obsessed on what I would call bottom of the funnel marketing. And that is simply looking at, are you looking to buy this right now? Yes. Okay, great. Let's bring you into this area. Let's sell you the product, and we're happy, right? It makes sense. It works. It's good for a company to say, we just spent money and then we just made money. And so there's a correlation with this data, and we feel good about that. But there's a problem where brands almost get too addicted to that bottom of the funnel, cheapest prices is going to win kind of area, because it's like a giant race to the bottom on pricing. And when you race to the bottom on pricing, you don't have as much money to kind of invest in your product or your services. And then everybody just kind of becomes a commodity in the market, right? Everybody is racing to the bottom to try to trick AI or influence, let's just call it AI, to give us the customer. And what happens is they start ignoring that top of the funnel thing where it's just brand awareness, right? I remember last year traveling in France, and there was an advertisement for Chanel No. 5. And that's all it was. It was just like, hey, this is what it is, this perfume. This perfume that has been around forever, right? That is in the area. And all they're doing is just brand building. Like, let's just get this in front of you. Let's get that in front of that 16-year-old that maybe hasn't ever purchased a bottle of perfume before. And what happens is when you avoid brand, you lose out on the long-term brand value of building like a loyal customer base. So if brands become way too transactional, then you're missing out on the people that will buy your Chanel No. 5 for 20 years straight because that brand emotionally connects with me as a consumer. So that's an area that is a bit of a concern. And I actually read a report, it was just last year, they published this report on saying, what are different ways that you can maximize return on investment with advertising?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's different ways and there's different advertising tricks to do that. But the number one way to maximize your advertising was your brand value. Meaning that if you have a good brand, let's call you Apple. Apple could start selling, they could start selling Kleenex tomorrow at $10 a box, and they will have $1 billion business overnight. Why? Because people just trust the brand, and so they're going to buy the product. And that is years and years and years of brand advertising and helping people understand what the value is. And so as people kind of play the AI game, they may forget to let's play the long game here and build a brand that people are still going to love in 10 years.
I love that, because that leans into the loyalty side, and that loyalty of a customer could very quickly erode with that focus, that singular focus at the bottom of the funnel. Mm-hmm. Everything you've said just resonates with what we're doing here at Rakuten to create those loyal customers for our brands and our partners. But before I go deeper into that, because I want to talk more, we've talked a lot about value here in a few of our episodes, and value means different things to every person. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to stop and pause and ask you to define value in your life. What's it mean to you, Darrell?
So value is the promise delivered for me. So what is the promise that you're committing to me as a customer? And so when we're ever buying anything, we're exchanging money for that thing. So we're thinking that the money that we're exchanging is going to provide us the value that is equal to the money that I'm paying out. Then the question is, did it deliver the value? And that moves people out of one-time purchases. And so, for example, recently I bought a, this is pretty lame, and my kids will really hate me saying this, but I bought one of those stupid, small, running hats, right? Where it's it can gather sweat. You can literally wash it in the sink afterwards. It's not going to ruin the hat. They look a little goofy, but it blocks the sun. It's great. It's lightweight. You can pour water on it and it's fine. And I got it. And now I'd never bought a running hat before. My kids didn't want me to ever buy one again or see me out one of these things. But immediately I touched it, I felt it, I used it, and it delivered the value that I was hoping for. You know what I did? I immediately went and bought the exact same one because I'm I'm going to lose this thing and I just want to make sure I have this. And so turning from a one-time customer, I actually don't need two hats, but recognizing the value that it delivered, I immediately was yes, I'm fully sold in. I'll be buying these things for years and years to come unless somebody provides me more value. That's where we want to get with customers. It's never about getting one customer once. It's about getting somebody to try you once and then delivering on that value so that they buy you 100 times.
I love it. Would you pay double for that hat now?
I would. Please don't let them know, though. Yeah, please don't let them know.
We didn't mention the brand, so I think we're safe.
We're okay, yeah.
Okay, and I'll put it on your Christmas list this year. We'll get you 3.
That's great.
So everything is coming together in terms of loyalty and those repeat purchases and creating that value. And so let's switch a little bit to how you think AI can help brands on that part of the journey. Mm-hmm. The ones that aren't just stuck in that bottom of the funnel, short-term conversion, those that are really looking to pair that with AI, creating that loyalty in that journey. What do you think brands should be doing or could be doing wrong today?
I'm going to answer that 2 ways. So first one, and this is a bit out of left field, but I think brands need to finally pay attention to this. When you have an amazing product and you have an amazing service and you're actually really, really good at what you do and what you're delivering, people talk about it, right? And I think it's I want to say it's either the 6th or 7th most visited website today is Reddit.
Yes.
And a lot of brands, like, they get Reddit, or they understand that it exists, but they don't really play in that area. But people really do, talk about products there, recommendations, share links, post reviews, and then they go into a lot of detail on it, community groups to specialized groups, so I could be part of a running subreddit. And when people start talking about you, there's a lot of content that goes there. And if you take a look at where AI is grabbing its content, it's grabbing it from the internet, but one of the top sources is Reddit. And so my encouragement to brands is, if you actually have a really cool product, or you've got a really great service, and you engage those communities to speak about what you're doing just organically, so yeah, this isn't paid ads, this isn't one big sponsorship, but you actually engage the digital community, then when somebody goes onto AI and they're asking about, like, hey, I'm looking for a good, whatever it is, running hat, water bottle, hotel, etc., and it scans all of Reddit, if you can now come up to the top, you have just gotten authority in a space that your competitors cannot touch, or can't touch easily, right? You've kind of built that ecosystem, that entire sphere of influence of people that are really committed to your brand, that doesn't show up as, oh, we just launched a campaign. It's like, no, actually we have 5 years of people talking about our product, and so that's going to consistently deliver results on AI.
Wow.
So that's one area I think brands need to just pay attention. The thing I always notice about this one is that not everybody in the companies are Redditors. So it's almost like an unseen space. Like, they get Google, they get Meta, they understand loyalty rewards, but it's a bit of an underdog, right? And so people need to pay attention to that. The second area I would go towards is, people are not going to be a loyal customer if they've never tried you first. And so, are you actually participating in being shown first in AI? And now, over the next year, we're actually going to figure out how that's going to look like for brands. ChatGPT is just launching ads. We've got Anthropic saying they're not doing ads. We've got Copilot Microsoft will definitely be bringing that stuff in. But how are you actually appearing to the people that have buying intent, that have never bought your product before? And just participating in showing up and just saying, let's get our product out there for people that are looking for a solution. And then once they try us first, they're going to recognize a brand value, and then we can own them as a customer.
Oh, I love that. This is why I was excited to talk to you, because I'm parsing now 20 questions that you've just generated through that answer.
There's a lot going on in AI.
It's exhausting but exhilarating. So thank you for coming on this ride with us today. I'm thinking back, late 1900s, early 2000s, like, bad press was good press. As long as you were out there and you were mentioned, brand, celebrity, whatnot, it helped amplify. But what I'm hearing from you is that, as much as creating those AI journeys for your consumer and being first, it's generating that content as well. So I want to ask you, in a bit of the idea of trust and maintaining that trust, brands need now to drive mass content for AI to be generating this. So they're likely going to be using AI to generate the content.
Yeah.
Do you see a risk there with breaking that authenticity, or being able to note that it is AI generated if brands do it wrong, and how that will actually backfire in the trust aspect?
This brings a term to mind, which is called the uncanny valley. And the uncanny valley is something, I think they coined it in the 70s, where you're like watching a video of a person, or you see somebody that looks human, but all of a sudden you realize it's not human. And then you almost get that like sick feeling. They say that the words that are associated with it is like disgust and feeling physically ill. And I think that is something that brands need to be very careful about with AI. And as customers are wanting to say, hey, I want you to deliver on your brand value, if I believe that the brand value is not being communicated authentically, or by a real person, or by a real company, right? There's concerns over, okay, you just said that this product, let's say I'm buying a carbon monoxide detector, and I feel halfway through the purchase that you're not a credible company. Like, if something were to happen, there's not going to be somebody that's taking accountability there. That's a big concern for marketing consumers. As soon as you start getting turned off a brand, it's not really good if your brand is identified with disgust, of just like mistrust, because then they're never going to trust you. Like, they're not going to come back. The era of like any PR is good PR. I think there's a lot of argument about like, is it true or not? But one thing that AI is very different with than what we saw before. Google search engines and stuff, they're always looking at keywords. And yes, I'm also going to acknowledge right now Google's in the AI space, and so they're evolving. But for the sake of this conversation, But then if you take a look at AI is about like semantic meaning. What are people talking about this?
Yeah.
So it can take a look at all the, Google may say all the keywords, but if you take a look at a post on Reddit with 400 comments, it can boil down and just saying, how do people feel about this mathematically, like, bringing this all together? Is this good or bad? And so if it recognizes a product that is recommended all the time, people really have terrible experiences with it, it may start demoting it. And now it goes into the wisdom engine of saying, you are wanting a good hotel, and everybody is saying, this is a terrible hotel. So even if it's mentioned more, like 10 times more than any other hotel, it knows, oh, you're not going to like this place. Right. So it starts demoting it. So I think brands, we need to be very careful when we start using AI and saying, how do people, like, not did it work, or are we getting our marketing out there, or even can we cut costs on our video production by putting in an AI person? The question is, are people going to trust that that's a real person?
Right.
That's like, applying the, throwing in a fabric softener. And if I don't believe it's a real person with a real family, we've completely broken the trust of advertising. And then everything we're doing is eroding that trust with the consumer. So I think it's a very scary time for brands that are playing around with AI in the wrong way.
You're making me think about the average consumer and their ability to spot AI, and whether a brand is generated the AI to promote their products or produce that ad versus a homegrown agency that's been, filming locally and winning international awards. So how can consumers, or can you easily spot AI when it comes to consumption of ads and what you're looking at from brands? Is it easy to spot? I mean, you're a bit of a master, but how can our everyday consumers spot some of those inauthentic generated content and build that trust or be weary?
Like, I can be honest to say it's getting harder every year, right? And if you look at the famous, Will Smith eating spaghetti, like every year we went from like 60% looking real and 40% looking like garbage to 95% really quickly. Then we got to 98, 99. Yesterday, I think earlier this week, Google Omni dropped. And I'm like, what are we at, like 99.98? Like, we're getting so close. And then you have to think about the actual consumer. Like, is your vision good enough to spot the little things?
Yeah.
Is your concept of physics sharp enough to see if that water's spilling? It's not spilling like it usually does. And so I think we've gone from this scary era of AI looking really fake to we just actually don't know what's real anymore. I think for me, 2026 was the year where I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And the funny thing is, like, it's not just me as a marketer. It's like, we'll be driving down the highway and my kids are like, oh, that is so AI. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, no, I think that's a real person. It's just Photoshop, but it's a real person. And now we both have different opinions on it. I think, now that's not to say, like, I'm not, like, we obviously do video production and commercials and all that stuff. I'm actually not against using AI in commercials, but it's how it's being used. And as an example, like, we've done commercials where we needed zombies in the background to be coming into the commercial. It's just part of the scene, right? And people are okay with AI zombies. But then the people that were inside the house that were delivering the brand promise and speaking about the product guarantee, those are real people. And so, yes, I have a commercial where I have AI zombies and real people, and they're both used correctly to still deliver that brand value. Now, I'm just concerned that brands are going to say, well, let's just run it all through AI, and they lose that like person-to-person touch, right? They lose that human, like, I can actually trust you with my dollars and for your brand promise.
And that ultimately is going to erode that long-term value for a brand and the customer, because you're not creating that second purchase, you're not creating that loyalty.
Yeah.
So this is my segue into selfishly talking more about the loyalty space and how important brands like Rakuten will be to brands who are learning to navigate, learning to be authentic but efficient, and looking to not only maintain that trust, but to leverage all of the content generated from customers of before. Mm-hmm. So knowing that singular focus on those conversions and how precarious this place is to brands right now, that could very quickly erode half their member base if they do it wrong. How important is loyalty and, say, sites like Rakuten to the consumer today in that world?
Well, I think, how important is loyalty? It's, I don't actually think that the principles of loyalty have actually changed that much. It's just that the technology delivering the loyalty is going to be changing. So if I've bought a certain like brand of shoes for a number of years and they're the only ones that work, I actually want to find out how to be more loyal to that brand, right? I want to be informed. I want to get the emails. Maybe I don't want to pay full retail. I want to get some rewards. And so I don't think that has changed. Customers will still want to buy things that offer a promise and deliver every single time. That's the same. There's nobody saying I am good to just throw every brand out the window and buy everything new all the time. As an example, they say one of the most stressful things of moving countries is going grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Because you go into the grocery store and you'll quickly learn as soon as you go into a grocery store in a different country, they have all the same products and all different brands. And people have literally like mental breakdowns because they realize they don't actually shop by product name, they shop by brand name. So they're going down the aisle and they can't find anything, which is kind of a concerning experience when you're like, I just need food for my family and I'm in a food store and I can't find like white flour. Like that's a problem for me. And so I think loyalty is actually going to increase over the next number of years. But the place where I see loyalty actually come in here is when I'm actually shopping online. I believe that the entire shopping experience is going to start to change. I believe people are going to actually go to websites less, personally, in the future, where we're actually doing all things in browser, in app, and allowing it to do purchases. I believe that AI is also going to be that assistant where, let's say if I'm shopping and I'm going on a trip somewhere. I think we've used that example before, but we're going on a trip. And then, I'm looking at different hotel options. And then all of a sudden it says, actually, Darrell, we have your personal finances. And I know you're trying to save a little bit of money on this trip. And you can go back to the same hotel, but we would recommend actually going through this loyalty program. And it's going to give you X cash back. And that's going to help you with your monthly goal. And so all of a sudden, it's just kind of like not interrupted, but come alongside me as a customer and said, hey, by the way, I know you want to buy this one thing, but we've got a better way to do it. And another way to think about it. And then I'm thinking, okay, I can actually go to that location. Like I'm able to afford it now, or I've got the benefits there. So I think that AI and loyalty and technology are actually going to like come together to this wonderful unified consumer experience instead of being like, oh, I need to remember to check this one thing, or I'm going to search the brands all right here. Where it kind of unifies, and maybe I'll learn something through the process or even sign up for a loyalty program that I was never part of before.
I love that. And that I'm glad that was your answer and not the complete opposite, given it's our world here. But we talked a little bit earlier about AI leveling the playing field. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about it in terms of great marketers, mm-hmm. And how creativity and the human grit and persistence and consistency will be the cut above going mm-hmm. forward. But when it comes to those three aspects coming together, the consumer experience with the AI, making that automated algorithm journey right there for you, I feel like loyalty will become that distinguisher. So AI is going to level the playing field across the brands. They're all using the same tools. They're all generating things of a higher quality. Mm-hmm. Do you see loyalty programs actually becoming the differentiator in terms of, I have two great brands with tons of great reviews and they're around the same price point. How am I going to decide here? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, this one gives me cash back. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's potential for loyalty to become the next big differentiator mm-hmm. in consumer choice in the future once AI kind of levels that playing field? Yeah.
So personally, absolutely. I think that AI is helping people actually narrow down their choice to things that they're predicting you're going to like. And so if you think of like AI as like, what is AI? Like just conceptually, it is a prediction engine and it's like a calculator based on all this data that it has. Yeah. So if it has all this data and it's trying to predict what are you going to like, it's really going to look at your history. It's going to look at what you eat. It's going to look at what you wear, where you buy things, how you buy things, what are the prices. And so it's trying to figure out what is the right answer for you to buy that next product. And it's to AI's advantage that it gets it right. Now, we're all creatures of habit. And we like buying the same things over and over again unless we're kind of interrupted. And yeah, that's a wonderful world of marketing and advertising. But AI is going to be, I think it's actually going to potentially get us stuck in a little bit more loyalty because it's going to say, hey, listen, you liked this before. We believe, therefore, you're going to like it again, or you like something that is similar to this, and it's going to keep bringing it back. It's going to know when I typically, let's say, buy clothes. It knows what type of clothes that I get, at what price point, and where I want them delivered. It's going to combine all those things, and it's going to send me the right email at the exact right time with the right offer and the right shirt, because it actually knows me. So I actually think it's going to drive repeat purchases really high, because it's actually predicting, Darrell, you've done this every single year for the last 15 years. Guess what? You're going to do it again, and we're just going to fall into it.
Okay, well, this music to my ears, and likely music to our brands listening on how to leverage that. I want to just take a moment. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Sure.
I didn't prep you on this one, but for our viewers, for our consumers who have tuned into Stack to take away tools on how to save more, earn more, shop more intentional. In an AI-driven world today and what's going on, what's your one takeaway for those watching Stack today? Like, what's that one nugget that you would just want everyone to remember?
Well, I'll give a personal story behind this one, and I fell upon it by accident. We're meeting with an accounting firm and just talking about AI. And so I was like, you know what, it can help you save money as a business. So I quickly built a little bot, or, if we want to say, throw it in a prompt. And make sure you've got a private AI system. Do not do this on public systems whatsoever. This is a really bad idea, okay? Took my credit card statement. All right, took all the purchases. You can just even export the list of what you buy. And now I run a company, right? And I've got just over 50 people. There's a lot of purchases. There's a lot of stuff that goes through every month. I put it through AI, and I just said, how can we save money? And through a whole bunch of different things that it caught that we couldn't catch with 100 transactions, like right away, we experienced $3,000 per month of savings as a company, like overnight. A lot of it was actually just foreign exchange that it identified. It identified softwares that were billing us more than once. It just caught a whole bunch of things. But think about this on a personal level. Give AI, even if it's an export of your personal finances, this is where I shop, this is what I like to do. How could I save money? And it's once again, it's not just a knowledge engine, it's a wisdom engine. So it's going to take a look at your personal finances, how many transactions, where you're shopping. Maybe you need to eat at home a little bit more. I don't know. There could be a whole, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of, maybe you don't have to take the suggestions, but they could be there for you. Yeah. But it can just search a whole bunch of alternatives and just say, actually, I believe you can save 10% on all of your purchases, and this is how. So give that a try.
Wow, that's powerful. That is a gem. We're going to keep talking because I love this, but we are out of time. Thank you again, Darrell, for coming. We might have you back because things are evolving and changing. So interested to see how the conversation may evolve in the future as well.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Great. Awesome.
And that's it for this episode of Stacked. If you found this useful, follow along as we interview leaders shaping the future of retail and learn how value really works behind the scenes. And if there's a topic you want us to unpack, I'd love to hear from you. See you next time.